it's Rosie here with some more pontifications about the human design world and with a little bit of a integral or gene key spin on it. And the thing I wanted to talk about here, I don't know if you're on my website or how you're finding this this particular video, but I do write about openness. And if you've learned anything about human design, you know that's a really huge concept, that there are parts of us, there are centers, there are channels, circuitries, streams, whatever you want to call them, that are open, that are like these open windows, these receptors to the world around us. And wherever we're open, we're actually taking in conditioning, we're taking in what's happening in our environment, how other people, depending on where we're open, particularly in our bodies or in our energetic system, we're going to be taking in how the people around us are feeling, whether there's stress in the atmosphere, frustration, we could be taking in the ill health of people or the fears or a sense of direction or lack thereof, or the way that people express themselves, or the mind, the thought, the mental chatter, the questions of the people around us. There are all these different ways in which we're individually designed to be open to being influenced by the world around us. Okay, and this is a wonderful thing because we're not just open to conditioning, which can be negative, quote unquote, at times, if we're going to buy into that whole concept, but we're also open to nurturing, to being taught, to being filled up with all kinds of beautiful things. And in the human design system, wherever you're open, is going to be a place where you don't just take things in, but those things actually get amplified inside of you. And then comes this question about what to do with these energies, that are coming in. So let's just take the open solar plexus as an example, which is a person who's going to be designed to have a certain kind of empathy. Everyone has empathy. But to have an open solar plexus is like when you're with someone who's having a feeling, you actually feel what they're feeling. It's like it comes in, it gets amplified inside of you. And then you're going to have kind of like this choice. Either you're going to identify with all of the emotional material moving through you and then make decisions from that place, or you're going to take it in and witness it, almost like a mindfulness meditation practice, and not make your decision from that place, but instead wait, contain the process, allow the body to metabolize it, and then make sure that you're making decisions from that place that you in particular are designed to make your decisions, right? Okay, so these are these two options that we have when we're kind of practicing and working with this whole openness thing. We're taking things in, it's getting amplified. We have this moment where we can decide, oh, is this all me? Or is this a combination of my feelings and the feelings of the people around me? I'm going to wait this out. I'm not going to make a big emotional decision right now because any number of these feelings that I'm having may be influenced by the emotional field around me. And I'm going to make sure that I'm relying on that part of me that's more consistent and reliable, that is me no matter where I go, no matter how anybody else is doing around me. Those are going to be the places I'm making my decisions from, right? Okay, so I love this. I don't know whether you heard the other video where I talked a little bit about like the benefits of doing the radical experiment and then also the benefits of holding the whole damn thing lightly because it's just a system, right? Anyway, so again, this is one of those similar things. Like in the beginning of the experiment, there is nothing more powerful than the awareness of one's openness. I can't even tell you what it meant to me to learn that I had an open solar plexus, for example, and how that open center had been running my life. I had been making so many decisions based on the discomfort I felt in my body when I was being flooded with emotional material, half of which was not mine. All of the work that I did in peacemaking and mediating and making, smoothing out waves and not wanting to rock the boat and avoiding confrontation and not being even true to myself, much less true to other people. These are all things that we associate with the open emotional center, right? So in the beginning, it was so amazing for me just to kind of, anytime I was feeling completely flooded, and this would happen a lot in group atmospheres where I'd be the one like crying and I'd be the one oh my God, I can't. You should talk to my friends. I was a total basket case. And then I'd leave the group and I'd be totally fine. And I'm like, what the hell happened? It was like I was completely possessed by this emotional material. And then I would blame myself for it and spend 20 years in the therapy couch and, just analyze it to death. And I became very good at analyzing feelings. And the thing was that some of the feelings were mine and some of them weren't, right? So it was an incredible relief to learn that at any given moment when I'm feeling emotionally kind of stirred up, some of it is mine and some of it isn't, and I don't have to do anything about it. I don't have to do anything about it. And then over time, I learned to tolerate those feelings without either pushing away or running away, like pushing against or running away. And I got better at having the confrontations that I needed to have, that were mine to have. And I got better at not having confrontations that really weren't relevant to me, weren't relevant to my life, and not driving myself absolutely bonkers trying to figure everything out with my head, right? So it was a huge part of my experiment, so important, and I would never be without it. So let me just make sure that we're clear on that. It's so important to learn when you're doing this experiment the impact of your openness and how it's been ruling you and how you've been making choices from that place. Okay. Now, keep that in mind. When we move into more Gene Keys world, then there's another way of looking at it. And I think it's important, especially if you've been, it's kind of interesting, like in the beginning I was kind of victimized by not understanding the way in which my nature worked, not understanding the ways in which my openness and my receptivity was impacting my entire identity and my way of being in the world. And I became empowered when I learned that I didn't have to necessarily take responsibility and act upon every single feeling moving through my system, right? That was an empowerment. But after a while, and this is, again, I'm just inserting this into the conversation, and you can think and feel whatever you want about it, and I'd love to hear from you. But after a while, if we get caught in that, like, oh, I'm open here and I'm vulnerable to conditioning here, and oh, you can harm me with your energy. Your sacral energy is stressing me out, or like your emotions are filling me up, and this isn't me. This has nothing to do with me, right? We can get into a whole mindset that can actually end up perpetuating a certain kind of victimization that may not be ultimately in our best interest. And this is where I think the Gene Keys are phenomenal in integral human design and a whole other way of looking at it. I remember, I think it was Richard Rudd who once said, or maybe it was Werner, who once said something to me like, it doesn't even matter what the source is, for me, for example, in relation to my solar plexus. It doesn't matter what the source of the emotion is. As soon as it comes into my system, it's mine. It's mine. And then I get to choose what I'm going to do with it. So one thing that in the beginning is empowering to say, well, you know what? This, wasn't sourced from me. I don't necessarily have to do anything about it. I can just witness it, let it move through me, and just let it go, right? But then there's the next kind of, again, like I'll use the word spiritual, but like the next thing that we could do, which is say, well, as long as this is in me, it belongs to me. Because ultimately, yes, on the one hand, I'm a differentiated cell on this planetary organism, but on the other hand, we're all one, right? So, yeah, we're different. You're transmitting stuff, I'm receiving stuff, but in the end, we're just like, you're this hand and I'm this hand on the same planet, right? On the same body. And so it doesn't really serve me to be pushing away things that are coming in instead of saying, you know what, as long as it's here, it's mine. And I'm going to do my best to metabolize it and to own it and to claim it and to work it and to feel it fully. And to allow that leaning into that feeling of whatever that material is that we've supposedly taken in from the outside, which is a dualistic concept in the first place, but most of the time we live on that plane. I'm going to take it in, something that came in from the outside, and I'm going to kind of transmute it through my own vehicle, through my body, through my vessel. Okay? So I have no idea if this is making any sense to you, but I kind of think about the Tonglen practice, where you're kind of breathing in the darkness, the sad, the sorrow, the suffering of the world, and you're bringing it into your body, and you're allowing your body to digest and metabolize and transmute it, so that when you breathe out, you're breathing out love, you're breathing out light, you're breathing out kindness towards all sentient beings. And this is an opportunity that you also have in those open places. And I just want to make sure you know that. And that doesn't mean every time you're going to want to do a whole Tonglen practice every time like someone comes into the room and they're a horrible mood and you just take it in and you feel horrible all of a sudden. No, you don't have to do it every time. And it's a wonderful way, it's a wonderful thing to hold as you're working through the whole openness thing. Okay, there's this lovely paradox that yes, on the one plane of existence, there is dualism, there is you, there is me, I'm designed differently than you, there's a relief in that, there's a permission in that, there's an acceptance of the other as different and unique and a celebration of that. This is a form of incredible love, like allowing people to be who they are, allowing ourselves to be who we are, right? And then there's the other thing, which is, we're all the same.